Thank you for being here with me today. I'm grateful for the time we share together as we dive into conversations about anxiety, depression, and everything related to mental well-being. As always, I don't want to overwhelm you with too much information today. There's no test at the end, no checklist to follow. Instead, it's about discovering the pieces that resonate with you, the insights that click and help you make sense of your journey. It's about changing mindsets and beliefs about anxiety and depression and how they show up in our lives. In this episode, we're going to explore stress. It's something we all experience in varying degrees. But understanding it, that's a different story. This is the first of 2 episodes where we'll take a deep dive into stress. We'll discuss what stress is, why we need it, how it can become unhealthy, and ways to deal with stress, both in the heat of the moment and as part of a lifestyle. Along the way, we'll bust some myths about stress that might be holding us back from truly understanding it. So let's get started. To understand stress, we have to ask, why do we have this thing called stress? What purpose does it serve? Why is it so prevalent in our lives, and how can we use it to our advantage while minimizing its negative effects? First, let's make one thing clear. Stress has a purpose. It's not inherently bad. Stress is our body's way of preparing for action, to move, whether that's towards something or away from something. If something is a threat to our survival, or if it's something we need to lean into and grow from, stress helps us rise to the challenge. Stress is a natural response, designed to help us face the challenges and threats that come our way. At its core, it gets us moving. It sharpens our senses. It makes us alert. Here's a myth we need to clear up. Stress isn't always bad. In fact, the idea that stress is purely harmful is a half-truth. We've all heard it. Stress is bad for you. Stress makes you sick. You need to find ways to get stress out of your life. But that's misleading. Stress isn't the enemy, it's a tool, and we need it. Let's take a step back, a few thousand years back, to really understand why. Imagine we're in a time before agriculture and the Industrial Revolution, before the fast pace of modern life. Imagine you're in a group of people enjoying the simplicity of life, maybe under a beautiful night sky. No distractions, just connection and peace. Suddenly an alarm sounds. There's a predator nearby, a tiger closing in on your group. In that instant, everything changes. Your focus shifts entirely from the moment you were enjoying to one singular goal, survival. Within 1/25th of a second, your body is in high alert. Your heart starts pounding, pumping blood to your arms and legs. Why? To get you ready to fight or run, the primal responses of fight or flight. Your breathing becomes rapid and shallow, your body releasing adrenaline and cortisol, hormones that give you the energy to move, to react. Now imagine your body not only primed for physical action, but also in the perfect state to perceive danger, sharpen your senses, your pupils dilate to see the tiger clearly, your ears fine-tuned to pick up any subtle noises in the environment. You're ready to fight, run, or freeze, whatever response your body deems necessary to survive. But here's the thing, you don't suddenly grow thick skin or sharp claws. Your biology doesn't change in that moment, but it adapts. It uses the resources it has, the heart pumping blood, the breath quickening, and the mind narrowing in on the threat. Once the threat is over, whether you've fought or run, your body enters a recovery state. You need to heal, to restore the energy used in the fight or flight response. You enter the rest and digest phase, where your body calms down, replenishes what was lost, and prepares for the next encounter. It's in this recovery state that your body heals, your heart rate slows, your breathing deepens, your immune system strengthens. This is where we should ideally spend most of our time, in a state of calm, of recovery. Yet in our modern world, it's harder than ever to access that state. As the famous physician Gabor Mate says, safety isn't the absence of threat, but the presence of connection. And that connection is often harder to come by in today's chaotic world. Fast forward to today. Our environment has changed dramatically, but our biology, it's still wired for the world of our ancestors. We're still the same humans designed to face physical threats, Yet we live in a world that is constantly changing, filled with an overwhelming amount of information. Our genetics simply haven't caught up. Stephen Ilardi, a clinical psychologist, puts it this way: there's a profound mismatch between the genes we carry and the world we find ourselves in. We were never designed for this sedentary, indoor, socially isolated, fast food-laden, sleep-deprived, frenzied pace of modern life. And here's where the challenge lies. We don't even need a real threat to feel stressed anymore. Our minds are so powerful that even thinking about a past event or imagining a future one can trigger the same stress response in our bodies. We can trigger the fight or flight response without any real danger in sight. In our modern world, where change is rapid and constant, our stress response is in overdrive. We are bombarded by a constant stream of information: social media, news, expectations, demands. Our brains are overwhelmed, misinterpreting this influx of information as a threat to our survival. Here's a staggering fact. The average person today is exposed to the equivalent of 127 newspapers worth of information every day. That's about 30 million bits of data daily, but our brains are only designed to handle about 120 to 180 bits of information consciously, about the equivalent of two people talking to you at once. When this overload occurs, our stress response kicks in. We feel overwhelmed, we feel unsafe, and the fight or flight response becomes our default mode, constantly active, even when there's no real danger. So what can we do about it? How do we navigate this fast-paced, overstimulated world and find balance? That's what we'll explore next week. We'll dive into practical tools and lifestyle changes that help us manage stress and anxiety, creating routines and structures that align with our natural rhythms and promote well-being. But for now, I want you to remember this. Stress isn't the enemy. It's part of being human. And the key isn't to eliminate stress, but to learn how to navigate it, how to recognize when it's real and when it's imagined, and how to cultivate peace in a world that's constantly pulling us in every direction. If you enjoyed this episode, then please consider subscribing so you can hear future episodes. So until next time, go well, go in peace, be kind to yourself, and see you soon.